This video is on a specific intervention, rather tactical, that has been scientifically shown to be one of the most effective, very, very tiny, small little habits or behaviors we can do to improve our positive mood and emotion and reduce stress and anxiety. So let's get into it. I thought this was interesting as I set out to research this video because it's actually a little bit counterintuitive for me maybe because as maybe you know or maybe not, I lived as a Zen monk for several months. I have been meditating for many years now and have probably spent maybe a couple thousand hours in meditation. And what this study showed was actually that there is a shorter protocol that you can do that may actually be more beneficial than the traditional meditation or mindfulness meditation where you're just sort of sitting there trying to pay attention. And this is called cyclical sighing. It is a type of breath work. So the main distinction there is that meditation, as we typically think of it, mindfulness meditation, is not, it's somewhat passive, right? And you're very keen in your observation and your attention and your attentiveness, but you are essentially observing your breathing, bodily sensations, and you're basically just trying to bring your awareness back to the present moment every time that it wanders off. You bring it back. Breathwork, on the other hand, is directing or manipulating intentionally your breathing. So let's get into this study. It was published in the journal Cell Reports or Cell, I'll include the link down below. I don't remember the exact title, but it's Cell. And by some very impressive folks at Stanford. Dr. Andrew Huberman is on the paper, as well as Spiegel, I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, who runs a stress and health center at Stanford. So very, very high quality paper. And here's what they did in the study. It was interesting because they had a similar hypothesis. They were like, hey, we think that maybe in less time by manipulating the breathing, you can get bigger effects than just a traditional meditation. So they got, I think it was 114 people to participate in this group. And they talked about assessing they use the term a psychophysiological assessment. So they're assessing both more psychological elements like state anxiety and positive affect. Positive affect being emotional state, basically, as well as some physiological measures relating to stress and anxiety, things like resting heart rate variability, respiratory rate, etc. So they got these people into groups, and they had kind of a control, which is a mindfulness meditation, as I said earlier, where you're basically just paying attention on purpose to the present moment, and every time you wander off, you come back. And then they broke them up into the other about 3/4 it would have been into like 20 each for 3 different types of breathing exercises. So you have cyclical sighing, you have box breathing, and you have basically hyperventilation. And I think they have a different term for that. In fact, I can pull it up in my notes in front of me. But here's how each of those work. The main thing that breaks them apart or distinguishes them, I should say, is the ratio of the in-breaths and out-breaths. So physiological or cyclical sighing, you are extending or emphasizing the exhalation. Box breathing is a 1-to-1 ratio. So you're basically going to breathe in for 3 to 4 seconds, let's say, pause and hold for 3 to 4 seconds, breathe out 3 to 4 seconds, hold 3 to 4 seconds, breathe in so it's a 1-to-1 to 1-to-1 ratio, right? That's where the box comes from. And then cyclic hyperventilation is basically the opposite. You're emphasizing or extending the inhalation. So you're going to be breathing in about twice as long as you're exhaling. So you can imagine how each of these look. A physiological sigh. Technically, there's another very, very short inhale after your primary inhale. So that would be a cyclical sigh. As I said, box breathing would be kind of like, then I'm holding, then breathing out for 2, 3, and then hold again at the bottom, 2, 3, and then coming back in. So it's that 1-to-1 ratio. And then the cyclic hyperventilation would be something like, so I was breathing in for about 3 seconds and then just in 1 second, basically letting it all out. So they wanted to look both at 2 things. So is there any difference between breathwork in general and mindfulness meditation? And then are any of these specific protocols more beneficial than others? And what they found is, in fact, yes, there was truth to both of those. So they found that breathwork was often more effective in reducing several measures. So these are things like reducing state anxiety, reducing some of the biological or physiological markers associated with stress and anxiety. And importantly, they also saw that it increased positive mood. And particularly, there was one breathing pattern in particular that was much more effective than all the others. And that was the first one I showed you, which is cyclical sighing. So again, it's this pattern of breathing in and then another very slight inhale and then exhaling about twice as long as you inhaled. So it could be a 3 or 4 seconds in and then 6 to 8 seconds out. It could be much longer. It just depends on your natural rhythm. So what they found is that doing this for just even 5 minutes a day over the course of 28 days led to measurable improvements in, like I said, mood, anxiety, stress levels, etc. And importantly, they looked at this specific one against mindfulness meditation directly, and they found that it was about 33% more effective in these measures of like positive mood, for instance. So this is important because it's not saying that I want this to be clear in this video. Mindfulness meditation also improved. So if you were just doing mindfulness meditation or any of these breathing exercises at the end of the 28 days with just 5 minutes a day, across the board, people were statistically significant to be shown lower anxiety, better positive affect and mood, and just general better biophysical markers of anxiety and stress. But there were, between the two groups specifically, the cyclical sighing had the greatest impact on this. And so I say that because typically mindfulness meditation is something that you do for maybe 20 minutes at least, 20 to 30 minutes. In this case, we see greater impact in just a 5-minute protocol. Now, in this study, both were done for 5 minutes. So it's still kind of apples to apples. But the idea here being is this is a very, very small, 5 minutes a day. It's like if you don't have 5 minutes in the morning, you don't have a life. I'm sorry. But 5 minutes a day protocol that is shown to improve many of these measures associated with happiness and health. So I'll give you one more final parting instruction, which is again, so remember you're coming in for about whatever 3 seconds, whatever feels natural, little inhale after that, and then try to double the length of the exhale and kind of this, it's like you can even feel like it's relaxing. And this is one of the simplest yet most effective and scientifically rigorous tools or tactics you can use to immediately improve your happiness and well-being. So I hope this video was helpful. Here's a video that YouTube thinks you'll like. As always, you can find practical tools from both the art and science of happiness here on this channel. So I hope you'll come back and I'll see you again. Until then, wishing you happiness and success. This has been Jackson Kirchis, your happiness nerd.